Welcome back to the Golden Duck podcast. Today I just wanted to share a bit about my game and talk about how I'm playing cricket, what I'm doing, where I'm getting out, where I can improve. Because as much as I want to enjoy the game and I believe in what the game stands for and having fun, being good socially, being supportive, being inclusive, being respectful, all of that, I think we can all agree, and I certainly do, that I want to improve my game. So roll back to this week's play. I had a 2020 game on a Thursday. We were bowling first. I didn't bowl this week because, I haven't been bowling for a while because of an injury in my shoulder, which is a shame. So I had to stick on the gloves behind the stumps, which wasn't too bad. Kept quite well, no byes, which felt good. So they put on a total of 118 in the 2020, which you may think is subpar, but our strip is definitely not ideal. The outfield was slow. Fours were definitely, what should have been fours were definitely twos, and what should have been threes were twos and stuff like that. Twos were only ones. So I think it's very much a par score. Probably 120. Definitely would be a defendable score. So they stick that on. Captain tells me, captain's orders are that I'm in at 6, which I do actually really enjoy. I like 6. I think my favourites are 5 and 6. I think it allows me to be positive while at the same time still having a bit of time under my belt, so I don't need to go crazy and salvage a game. The tail perhaps doesn't have to flick, have to wag rather. If the top order do collapse, I can, I do back myself, I suppose, for just blocking and seeing out some overs, seeing off the shine, trying to just kind of get a foundation. And we've had a pretty rubbish summer here in England. It's just been raining and cloudy and not had too much sun, coupled with not getting the covers on at the right time. But all that together, our bat had a nice 33. Off of, I think, a runner ball, 33 off 34 or 33 off 31, something like that. So I went in at, must have been around 60 for 4 with 10 overs to go. So we're pretty much bang on halfway on the run rate. Definitely could have been a collapse, but definitely still victory could have been in sight. And I knocked on a 33, and I think, especially for my game, there are times where I might be playing a 50 over format, 40 over, 45 over format, where I definitely get caught in survival mode, where I almost play too straight. I play too survivally, as opposed to confidently and positively, and you get really bogged down. But I was, I kind of played my shots, didn't feel nervous going into bat, and just kind of tried not to get bogged down, tried to play my shots, positively play them. Is balls that perhaps are, on the stumps and just afford defensive, maybe see if I can drive through the ball. And I did that, and luckily got a 33 and ended up, got out with 2 overs to go. Kind of, their opening bowler came back on. He was bowling half trackers, but the line was definitely quite tight. Ball was probably bouncing around, rib cage area, a bit lower, maybe belly button, between belly button and kind of chest area. And, I knew what this guy was bowling. It was so predictable, wasn't anything too threatening. It was probably only like 65 miles per hour, maybe 70 at a push. But, I had two balls short, tried to squeeze them through cover, but just got too tucked up, missed them both, and then, third ball of the over, I'm thinking to myself, right, I've got to step leg side. I know what's coming. I can just pull it for 4, pull it for 6. So predictable. I'm timing it nicely. But same again, stepped offside a bit. Stepped leg side to play offside. Just got tucked up for space and ball kind of went straight up in the air. It was a high catch, but well taken in the end. Luckily, we went on to win the game, which was nice, having our first win of the season. I think we've lost 7 games this season, and we've had our first win. So, genuinely forgot what winning felt like, but good to get back in winning ways. And then moving on to Saturday's game, which was a 45 over game, win, lose, draw, and kept again because I couldn't bowl. And they got around 100, something similar. I think they only got about 110. We bowled them out after 43 overs. We could tell they were playing for the draw, trying to get those extra batting points. But they were either making the strip. The strip was either rubbish, or they were making our bowlers look really good. I think the latter was probably true. The strip wasn't rubbish. I definitely played on worse. Played on a strip a couple of weeks ago that was basically like playing on a sponge. It was rubbish. Decisively the worst wicket I've ever played on in my life. But this one wasn't necessarily the case. Our bowlers were bowling so well, just hitting line and length every time on the money. One of our opening bowlers got 12 overs, 8 maidens or something crazy like that, 2 for 20 odd. 8 maidens, which is crazy. But yeah, I think, and something that I saw in those batsmen, and that I see in myself, is kind of you bat survivally as opposed to kind of positively. One of their guys batted for 30 overs and only got about 20 runs. I think if you bat positively, you could definitely get that in about 6-7 overs for sure. But anyway, 110 or so to win. I opened the batting. The bowling was nothing special. Definitely knew I had to come forward because the pitch wasn't bouncing much. I was batting number 2, so I was opening the batting. Me and my partner, we were good on the singles. He's definitely more an aggressive player. He can really play his shots. Glad to get off the mark. I think I just played one into mid-on. Something that I've got a lot better at, and I think comes with the positivity, is that getting off, a duck, getting on the mark, as it were, is a lot more comfortable, a lot more easy, and I think pressing on that for me is getting from 1 to 10, and once I'm past 10, then my innings kind of gets better. I usually need about 30 balls or so to get my eye in, but batted for about 16 overs or so, made it till drinks and still hadn't hit a 4, which was frustrating, but my mate at the other end was doing, getting the runs on the board, and so I didn't feel the need to kind of lose my head, but at the same time I wanted to hit a 4. I wanted to feel positive, confident, and I saw the guy's worst ball of the game. It was there to cut. It was kind of back of a length and wide, and I was there. He was bowling right arm over, went to cut it, and it didn't really bounce and just nicked it to the keeper. I think what I'm coming to realise is you can't really cut it on dodgy pitches because you don't have the width or the height really. It's probably a ball that I could have come forward to and just spanked through the offside, and unfortunately nicked behind for 6. But that was a perfect demonstration for me, perhaps, of playing survivally as opposed to playing positively, but at the same time, I had a job to do opening the batting. Got 6 off about 30, just tried to see off the opening pair, see off the shine. I was just there supporting. I must have run at least 20 runs for my mate. He got about 35 when I was out. But yeah, I came off about 60. We put on about 60 together. I only did get 6, but there were plenty of leg byes that I faced, and plenty of ones that me and him turned into 2s, which was good. But I did my job, and for me, I'm just trying to, I suppose, find my role, find my mindset going into bat as a number 2 or a number 5 or 6. But I think something that I can take is to be positive but not reckless, like perhaps in the 2020. And that's what the best batsmen do. That's what Joe Root does. He'll always be a runner ball throughout his innings, even from the get-go. He'll be 1 off 1, 2 off 4, then suddenly 10 off 10. He's hitting 4s early in his innings. He's rotating the strike, not getting bogged down, but just ticking and not playing recklessly. And that's same with Kane Williamson. I definitely put those 2 in a bracket together. I think Joe Root just above him. I think Kohli's in a different category altogether, not for talent, but for just the way he plays. He does get runs, but he's a lot more flamboyant, a lot more explosive. I think kind of in a purist sense and a more textbook sense, I do think Joe Root's probably the best batsman in the world, coming from that frame. And that's someone that I want to build my game on, because I'm not so arrogant to say I'm anywhere near him at all. I'm playing village cricket, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with watching David Beckham take a free kick if you want to improve your free kicks for your local Sunday team. But that's exactly what I'm trying to do with my cricket and my batting. So he's definitely someone that I look to as a cricketing idol for sure. He just makes it look so easy. But yeah, that's been a recap of my week's cricket. It's always good for me to reflect, I suppose, I think you need to when you go into bat, because it can be a very lonely, also quite, devastating weekend if you're going to bat, you're not getting any runs, you're not even clearing 10, ducks left and right. And I think it's important to reflect and try and work it into your game. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to that. We'll have to see where this goes in the future, but for now, thanks for listening to the Golden Duck podcast with me, Charlie. I will see you in the next one.